Let's talk about it. Let's bring in retired police lieutenant Mike Gould, our law enforcement analyst guest this hour. Mike, what do you think of this guy?
Yeah, Julie, thanks for having me. Strangulation is kind of an odd choice of murder, I think, in a premeditated intentional murder. He has a lot of medical background. He's highly functional, right? He's been a paramedic for 18 years. So to strangle somebody, I would think that he would be very well aware of the fact that that would be discovered at some point. So I think that's a little bit odd. I think that, his response, a lot of times we look at somebody's response to trauma or murder or death, and I find it a slippery slope to try to determine if somebody overreacted, underreacted. I'm a very stoic person. My response to certain things are not going to be the same as somebody else's response to that. So look, it's, beyond a reasonable doubt is where this has got to go. I think it's going to be a battle of experts, medical experts. The defense somewhere, they said a massage therapist caused the neck injuries. I have no idea if that's possible. It's a very interesting case to me, and there's a long way to beyond a reasonable doubt here.
Yeah, well said, Lieutenant, well said. When you have a case like this where, this, from what I understand, this is a small community. People probably know him. He was a battalion chief many years, 22 years. Actually, I have the number right in front of me, and also was married for the same amount of time. He was having an affair, according to police, and when he was right about to move out of this house and serve his wife with the divorce papers, the incident in question occurs. She dies, and the question is, how did she die? He's saying that the marks on her neck were from a massage that the couple's son had given his mother, the night before, was rubbing her neck. Investigators think it looks like manual strangulation. If you're in the police department and you happen to know the folks in the fire department, you get to the house, Lieutenant, are you extra careful to make sure that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, so that no one can say, oh, there's any favoritism going on, because this is also someone who's working in the world of service?
Yeah, certainly it's possible that he thought he was going to influence the decisions of the paramedics and so forth, but he's not going to influence the decision of a medical examiner. So, the initial, strangulation is a very violent crime. It's the crime scene, I would think, would suggest, unless he cleaned it up or prepared it, the crime scene would suggest some level of violence, because somebody's going to resist strangulation. It's a natural mammalian instinct to fight back, no matter what, regardless of what your size is. So, it's odd to me. Like I said, this is a highly functional person. It's not like there's no evidence of drugs or alcohol, or this was spontaneous. They were in some kind of violent domestic situation. So some of the elements of this are a little bit odd to me at the moment. And then, of course, so two things can be true. Yeah, he's going through a divorce. So I just think that it's going to be a question of, it's going to be a battle of experts, and it's somewhat of an unusual case. This guy, like I said, he knows the community, he's well liked, he doesn't have a history of violence, he doesn't have a history of any of these things. So again, we always go back to the digital evidence, text messages, what he said, who he said it to. But right now, it's a little, we got to watch this trial unfold and see where everybody's going to land on this. But right now, it's highly circumstantial, and we're going to see where it ends.
Yeah, Lieutenant, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said this is going to boil down to what experts this jury believes. You know what it's like to be an expert witness. You are one. You do a lot of that testimony all over the country. Yeah, and how she died and how these experts say she died are going to be key, because he's putting himself there. He's putting himself at the scene. He's blazing the call. These facts are beyond any change at this point. So to your point, an excellent one. Yeah, it's going to come down to how they believe that Marcy died. Lieutenant Gould, stand by if you would, please. We're going to hit our break. When we come back, we've got a co-worker and friend of the former battalion chief who's taking the stand. That's coming up.
I'm going to ask you a lot of intensely personal questions.
From the crime scene to the courtroom, this is Victim to Verdict.
Everyone has this heightened sense of anticipation.
What a day here at Court TV.
Fireworks both inside and outside the courthouse.
Let the cameras roll. Thanks so much for staying with us on this Thursday morning. I'm Julie Grant, and this is Court TV Live. We're back to the cheating fire chief murder trial. Have you heard about this case? If not, you should. This is a wild one. It's going on in the state of Washington. The defendant is a guy named Kevin West, served 22 years as a battalion chief, also married for 22 years. And what's at issue is how his wife died. The state says that he strangled her to death. He says she just had a seizure. He placed the 911 call. He was cool as a cucumber when police arrived to the house. We got his friend, a fellow firefighter, on the stand in the trial. Let's watch.
Do you know Kevin West?
I do.
How do you know him?
Through the fire department, and also a friendly relationship outside the fire department.
Would you recognize him if you saw him staying for?
I would.
Can you point him out if you see him by an article of clothing that he's wearing and where he is seated?
Blue suit, top, right there.
May the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant?
It does.
And how long have you known Kevin West?
Since he was, this started his employment at the Kansas-Washington Fire Department, so 22 years, I guess. I'm not 100% sure about that number.
Did your relationship with Kevin extend outside of work?
It did.
And how did it extend outside of work? What would you all do?
We would go hunting together, and he would come up to the house. I live on a river, hang out for summer barbecues and things of that nature. And I would go to his house and hang out in his garage, talk about work, things of that nature.
And now, the house that you had been to of his, was it the one that was the Washington residence on, I believe it was 34th Street?
I believe so, yes.
And is that in Clark County, Washington?
Yes.
How often would you hang out with Kevin outside of work?
It was variable. I mean, sometimes once a month, sometimes a couple times a month. When we went hunting, it was several days together. Just kind of done.
Were you familiar with Kevin West's marriage to Marcy West?
Yes.
What was your knowledge of their relationship?
Objection calls for narrative response, relevance. Staying to the question first.
I'll rephrase. Did Kevin ever tell you about the state of his marriage to Marcy West?
Yes.
And did he have those conversations with you more than once?
Yes.
And so was any of did you also form personal observations of the marriage between Kevin West and Marcy West?
I don't have any firsthand knowledge of their relationship besides the narrative that we talk about at work and on.
Would Kevin have talked to you about the nature of his relationship with Marcy prior to her death in January of 2024?
Yes.
And approximately when did he bring up marriage issues or relationship issues with you for the first time?
A decade ago.
Did he continue to tell you about marriage complaints or marriage issues leading up to January of 2024?
We both engage in conversations in regards to our families and matters of such.
And so what did Kevin tell you about the marriage?
Overall, it just seemed very strained for a very long time.
Did he tell you about the basis of the strains?
I think there were multiple facets to that. Intimacy, there was some differences in how they parented, some strain about the children.
Did he express to you financial strain in the marriage?
Yes.
Did Kevin, what was the financial strain that he expressed to you?
I can't remember specifically. It was just more in the ways of Marcy wasn't working, I think, and hadn't gone back to work. Kevin was working a lot of overtime, and there was just a lot of things to try to keep up, I think, with whatever their financial responsibilities were. That we did not talk about.
Did Kevin West ever discuss divorce with you?
Yes.
When did he discuss divorce from, and I assume from Marcy, divorce from Marcy?
Well, I think the topic of conversation was kind of ribbon throughout the period of time that we were talking about our families and being married and things of that nature. I think it had come up more than once, but it wasn't a new topic of conversation.
Would he have discussed potentially divorcing Marcy with you in the fall of 2023?
Yes.
The timing of the divorce is going to be really key here. We're going to hear more from the defendant's friend coming up. As we hit the break, I want to give you a live look at the courtroom in Uvalde, Texas. The school massacre case with one of the responding officers being tried for an inadequate response to the shooting continues today. It's going to resume with a cross-examination of the teacher whose testimony was called into question. We'll be right back. We're back to the cheating fire chief trial in Washington State. Let's go back in and hear more from this friend and fellow firefighter who knew the defendant. And here he's talking about when he learned of the plans for a divorce.
Did he ever discuss financial considerations related to divorce from Marcy with you?
Yes.
And what did he say about that?
He told me he had talked to a lawyer and they were trying to go through the financials to figure out if he could afford to have a divorce with him.
And by afford to have a divorce, what do you mean by that?
Well, he was just looking at the financials in regards to what it would entail and what would be left, and the things that you would talk to a lawyer about in regards to assets and things of that nature.
Did he express to you what those financials might look like?
I don't recall anything specific.
Do you recall him saying that it would cost approximately $5,000 a month to divorce?
Objection, reading question. This day. Move to strike the question, instruct the jury. The question wasn't answered, so stand the objection with nothing to strike.
I'll come back to that question. Did Kevin ever tell you that he was seeing a woman named Cynthia Ward?
Yes, but I had no prior knowledge to that until after Mercy's passing, a few days after that.
And approximately how long after Marcy's death was that disclosure?
2 days maybe.
And what did he say to you?
He just brought the subject up. He said he'd been seeing somebody and told me who it was, which the name was familiar, but I could not recall the person by face or acquaintance in any way.
Did he tell you how long he had been in that relationship?
I think it was just a turn for the conversation was it had been a while, but I don't recall him specifying dates or length of time.
How did, so this was 2 or 3 days after Marcy's death. Where did this conversation happen?
In his grove.
What was his demeanor like?
Sorry.
What was his demeanor like? in that
Still
conversation?
fairly upset and rattled, I would say.
How did he bring up the topic of Cynthia?
He just told me. I can't remember the exact verbiage of the conversation, but he just told me what that was about. I did not know that. So.
And did the topic of Cynthia between the two of you continue?
I think I might have said something in regards to, I'm not sure how much I would spread that around and tell people.
Objection, Your Honor. This relevance, this is hearsay. Move to strike and instruct the jury.
Apparently, after resolve the legal disruption, the president close your note that don't discuss the case. I'll drive you back into the moment.
Michael, at some point, he brought up the conversation of, or he brought up to you something about Cynthia. What exactly did he say?
He told me he had been seeing somebody, and he said that she was willing to wait for him for however long it took, and that that was the path he was going with, was to be with her.
And what was your response to that?
I urged caution in regards to divulging that information so close to Martha's death, and just for his kid's sake and the general situation.
And what was Kevin's demeanor like when you told him that I would pause on talking about that?
That's pretty vague. I don't know. I don't think there was a big reaction one way or the other. There was nothing that would have stuck in my mind.
And after that, did you and Kevin ever discuss Cynthia again?
I've met Kevin in person twice since Marcy's death, and both times there was conversation about her, yes.
And what was the conversation about her the second time?
Just that his kids really liked her, and she was being very supportive of the situation, and I think along the lines of, what a good person she was and how much she was helping him and his children.
And did you ever meet Cynthia personally?
If I did, it would have been when she was a volunteer firefighter a long time ago. And like I said, I did not have a recollection of what she looked like when he told me who she was.
That's all I have.
Okay, what's your objection?
So, Your Honor, the objection is this. I think the question was, it was regarding what he had said just a few days after she had passed about being with Cynthia, and the witness began to answer. I told him it wouldn't be such a good idea to talk about that so close to the death. That's actually what he told me in the interview as well. That's a comment like it's kind of dangerous to be talking about how you're with another woman so close to your lifetime. I think that's the wrong message to impart to the jury. It's also not relevant. What you said is not relevant because he had no reaction, so there's absolutely no relevance to what he said to Mr. West.
I overrule the objection. Most of the comments of Mr. West, his reaction or lack thereof to a comment by this witness during the conversation may have some slight relevance, but don't see any prejudicial value to it. Bring in the jury.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure that witness would love nothing more than not to be there testifying in this trial for the state, in the trial prosecuting his former colleague and buddy. Let's talk about this with our law enforcement analyst guest. Lieutenant Mike Gould is watching along with us. Well, Lieutenant, you could just feel how uncomfortable that poor witness was, wasn't he? Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, Julie. So I always try to put myself in the jury seat listening to this. And frankly, I like courtroom drama. I like when attorneys come out, prosecutors, defense attorneys, and they kind of own the stage, and so it's been a little lackluster for me. But again, go back to circumstantial evidence. This is not an idiot. This guy, he doesn't have a violent past. So a premeditated intentional murder is usually more diabolical, right? Everybody thinks they're smarter than everyone else. So poisoning or accidents and so forth. Strangulation, the crime scene is going to tell a lot of the story. As I said earlier, strangulation is violent. People resist naturally. So if they've maintained the crime scene sufficiently and did really a good forensic examination of the crime scene, there's going to be circumstantial evidence left there. This is awkward for all witnesses coming in. Intimacy, money, cheating, all these things are very common, as we always say. Why not just get divorced? It's going to be cheaper in the long run. I don't get it. And then to be the affair is going to be the critical element here. Jumping from one relationship to another within days of his wife's murder is going to be incriminating, I think.
Oh, definitely. It makes you wonder, why go through the trouble of having a lawyer draft up divorce papers? Is that part of a plot? Was this part of the plot to commit the homicide, to make it seem like, no, we were going about it the legal way, but yet this was less expensive? Again, these are just allegations against this guy. He may not have killed her. She might have just had that seizure and happened to die on the day he planned to move out to go be with his lover. Mike Gould, great analysis from you as always. Stand by, please. We're going to hear more from the defendant's friend. And then also we're monitoring things in Texas, getting ready for things to start up in that trial in Uvalde. Be right back. School shooting that broke hearts around the country
and broke trust with law enforcement.
Now the officer sworn to protect those students faces a jury.
The Uvalde school massacre trial. Live coverage today on CourtTV.
I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinny Politan. Tonight at 8/7 Central. Only on CourtTV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We're on the West Coast with the trial of a cheating fire chief. That's right. He's the defendant in this case, accused of murdering his wife. He says he didn't do it, that she died by a seizure that just suddenly happened at their house. He's the one that called 911. His buddy is on the stand as a state witness. Let's go back in.
Michael, he brought up Cynthia to you just to kind of walk back to where we were. What did he say to you specifically?
He said he had been seeing her and that she had told him that she was willing to wait for him for however long it took. I can't assume too much about where that came from as far as the context of that. And that was the direction he was looking to go when it was available.
What was his demeanor like when he was discussing Cynthia?
At what point?
On that initial conversation you had with her.
He was
Cynthia.
still very upset during the conversation that we were having. He had also learned that the medical examiner was not going to release a toxicology screen at that point in time. He became very upset about that.
Objection, non-responsive. Sustained. I want to strike the remaining portions of it.
Let the last answer stand as is. However, listen to the question asked, answer that question, then wait for the next one. Don't throw in things that the question isn't designed to answer.
Yes, sir.
And so after him telling you that about Cynthia, what did you say to him?
I think I cautioned him in regards to telling very many people about that because it could hurt his children and because this was such a new situation that I was a little shocked by it, and I was more concerned with his children, I think, at that point in time.
What else, if anything, did you both discuss aside from Cynthia when you went to go visit him? that 2 to 3 days after.
Objection calls for narrative response.
Sustain this phrase.
Did Kevin say anything else to you those 2 to 3 days after you visited him that you can recall?
Objection, same objection.
I sustain the objection. When I ask you questions about specific things that might be relevant to this case, you can do that. But just ask him to talk about everything you said, it's not an appropriate way to ask a question.
Did Kevin discuss Marcy's passing with you on that day, 2 to 3 days after January 8th?
I'm sure it was a topic of conversation. I don't have any recollection of specifics.
Did he discuss what was going on with the medical examiner?
Because he took the phone call during the conversation, we did speak about that after the fact.
And what did he tell you?
Objection, relevance.
He just told me that he was expecting the tox screens to come back at that point in time, and he was told that wasn't going to happen, and he became upset.
How many times did you see Kevin following Marcy's death on January 8th, 2024?
3 times.
So we discussed that first time. I'm assuming it was the first time that 2 to 3 days after?
Yes.
And what was the second time?
When I visited him when he was living in his trailer in Sandy area, Oregon, Sandy area.
And what was the final time you saw him?
It was maybe a year ago. I don't remember the time. It could have been in September, in fall. I honestly, I don't know.
All right, we're going to step aside from that trial in the state of Washington. It's going to start back up at noon Eastern time with more testimony today. The judge has a restriction on when we can broadcast. We have to wait for the court day to conclude, so that's why you're seeing all the testimony from day one this morning. As you're pretty much caught up there, we're about to see another case get back underway in Texas. This is a live look at the defendant in the Uvalde school massacre case. He's a police officer who served for many years with the school district, and he responded that day of this tragedy. This is Adrian Gonzalez. No mistrial declared by the judge. The case rolls on. This is really, really tough having a police officer as a defendant. His response in question, he wasn't the shooter. He didn't go in with the plan to murder those kids. And his defense team says he helped so many kids get out safely that day. What's the jury going to think of this? Let's bring in somebody who's walked in those shoes. You know, it's very hard for all of us to judge what it would be like to respond to a mass shooting like that. Lieutenant Mike Gould, you have served many, many years, and we thank you for your service. You know, it's a noble, brave job, and not many people can do it. So what are your thoughts as we get ready to watch more of this case?
Yeah, Julie. So, of course, this is probably one of the most upsetting things we can deal with, a mass school shooting of children. Really, but there's two parallels here. You have somebody, all the training in the world cannot duplicate the reality of life. And cops are scared. They fear for their lives. They want to go home. You know, the methods of dealing with mass shootings have changed over the years. It used to be we'd form a perimeter, hold your ground. Now we go to get in there and take out the suspect, period, end of story, without too much hesitation. So I think this is going to boil down, I don't know about, you could be a cop for 22 years, but not have much experience in these things. So it's unfortunate. This is for this person, for the defendant here. you know, this is tragic, you know, how he's got to live with this. And day after day, his life has been changed. Of course, he could have done something. And I think 70 minutes or whatever that time frame was in 2020 hindsight. So I'm certainly not defending his actions, but I can be empathetic to what they all were dealing with.
Yeah, you certainly understand. And like you said, that's interesting for our viewers to know, Lieutenant, how, you know, responses have changed. What once was the effective way or believed to be the effective way to handle these situations has changed. Things have morphed and tactics change. And this is just unchangeable, sadly, as we know. We're thinking about all of those victims whose lives were lost. Lieutenant Gould, it's always great to have you on this show. Thank you for your expertise this morning, and thank you at home.